you're particularly interested in the Devonian and the Triassic periods, and maybe we should start with when these were and what their key features are that make them so important to the work that we've been
Okay.
dancing around so far.
So, I mean, what's great about both those time periods, and I'm working less on Triassic now, I'm really kind of mostly working on Devonian, but they're both time periods that have had a major effect on the modern world. That is, during those periods, much of what we take for granted in our modern world was shaped. Devonian is known as the age of fishes, the origin of different kinds of sharks, the origin of different kinds of what are called ray-fin fish, which are kind of most of the fish you think about. The origin of lobefin fish, of which we're related to the lobefin fishes. Much diversification, much new novelty, innovation happened then. Starting around 400 million years ago, extending all the way to about 365, 362 million years ago. So it's a critical time in that way. The Triassic also in its own level for, say, what we call reptiles, which is, essentially a time period from about 225 million years ago to about a little less than 200 million years ago. The origin of crocodiles, turtles, mammals, pterosaurs, lizards, and then even in amphibians, salamanders and frogs. So you've had, both those windows were sort of crucibles of innovation for understanding vertebrate organisms. So if you're like a field paleontologist like myself, and you kind of want to choose a time period where you're going to likely find something, fossil, a material object, or an ecosystem, understand an ecosystem that really changed the world, it's Triassic and Devonian. There are others as well. Cambrian's another one at a different level, but which is earlier, 500 and so million years ago. So I was attracted to both because I'm interested in the evolution of vertebrate organisms with backbones and skeletons, and both are really kind of pivotal. We focus mostly on the Devonian period now because, again, the fish to land-living animal, fish to tetrapod transition. It's a big deal.
I'm sure there's something of an arbitrary component to when you decide to demarcate one period from another. But take the Devonian period. You said it's the age of fishes, where all these fish branched off. We had lobefin fish, different sorts of sharks. I think did you say it was from about 400 to 352 million years ago?
362, yeah. I mean, people quibble over some of the boundaries there, but there's a couple extinction events at the end, which kind of marks the end of it. There's a big change there.
Okay, so why is it that you decide to end it there, or why is it that you decide to end the Triassic when the Triassic ends there? Where clearly there are still lots of fish.
So what geologists have done for a while is they've mapped these layers by the fauna and flora inside them. So the plants, the animals, and so forth. And usually at the end of these, and the beginning and the end of these periods, there's a notable break, And so it was something that they could compare among regions of the world. So they say, I have this sequence in this cliff here in North America. I have this Eastern North America. I can compare it to this sequence here in Western North America. Oh, and looky here, it's something very similar is happening in Europe. So these are horizons in the geological record that can be compared conveniently among different locations. And typically what that is changes in the fauna and flora, the plants and the animals, and usually there's sharp breaks that demarcate them. And they've been pretty useful, honestly. You can do these comparisons. When I'm working in a Devonian rock, say in central Pennsylvania, I kind of know where I am, and I can use those same observations whether I'm in a Devonian rock in the Central Arctic, or in Africa. So it's turned out to be a very useful, sort of way to see the world.
Since I think we're going to talk more about the Devonian period than others, what are the sharp breaks that began and ended it?
Yeah, so what begins it is there's quite a bit that's going on in the invertebrate world, new taxa that appear. And so if you look in the oceans, what you'll see is there's a faunal change in the ocean among different species there. If you look at the end of the Devonian, you see the same thing, only there it's an extinction. You're not seeing the rise of critters, new things. You're seeing the disappearance of them. And that happens in two phases, which people quibble about, like, was it two? Was it one big one? That kind of thing. But it's likely two at the end. So there's clearly, evolutionary breaks at the beginning and the end of the Devonian that you can recognize around the world. Because we use mostly for this, we use marine rocks, oceans, because they are widespread. You can compare rather than a little lake, which is local, might be limited in one part of Pennsylvania and not present in the Arctic. Well, no, you don't want that. You want marine sediments, which, we have oceans where you can compare across the world. So that's kind of the tool.
Mm-hmm. With the dinosaurs, which I think this is the extinction event that most people are familiar with. It was a big asteroid impact. Do we have any idea what caused these marine extinction events?
Well, the same thing would affect it. So, I think there are two big explanations, honestly, for the end Cretaceous event. One is an asteroid. When you think about a big rock like that hitting the Earth, that can change a lot. If you darken the skies for a period of time, you can affect marine productivity, you can affect productivity on land, and so you would imagine the effects would be global and widespread across multiple ecosystems. The other thing is volcanism, which is happening at that time. There's a slow creep of volcanism changing the atmosphere, and changing the oceans as well geochemically. So you put all this together, there's stuff happening that's affecting the entire planet. When you think about global change today, it's not limited just to the terrestrial realm or the aquatic realm. It's affecting all ecosystems, albeit in different ways, but it's affecting everything. And so just imagine that at a larger scale, happening in the Cretaceous.
So then is the speculation that what ended the Devonian period was certainly volcanism and then possibly another asteroid impact?
Yeah, there's been the argument that I don't think there's really evidence for an asteroid impact at the end of the Devonian. Unlike the Cretaceous has the best evidence for an asteroid impact. Devonian, it's really kind of more other things going on there, changes.